Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of On the Matter. I'm your host, Ovi Chiapa, and if this is your first time, welcome. On the Matter is a community where people who are actively working towards their goals can come together to be encouraged, to be supported, and just motivated through it. And with that, I try to feature people who are actively on the matter, who are working towards their goals, who are just doing it. And with that, my guest today is none other than Dr. Claudia Marshall, who is a psychotherapist with over 8 years of experience. She is also a podcaster. She is a professor. She's goals. Listen, she's goals. So I am so honored to have her here today. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I know how busy you are. So this is just a blessing to have you on my space. So welcome to On the Matter.
Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to be here and I cannot wait to have this conversation with you.
Right? I can't wait to have this conversation either. So I just want to kick us off by asking you to just tell us about yourself, your background, and just how you came to be.
I was born and took off running, literally. So I was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica for 18 years of my life. So yeah, island girls. Bop, 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 bop. I said I took off running because I obtained a track and field scholarship to Hampton University. And that is, yes.
That is amazing.
Yes. Thank you. And that's how I ended up in the States in 2008. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
Wow. So I've been here over 10 years, right?
Yes.
If I can count. Yeah.
Yes, you can. You have a PhD. You can count.
I have been here since then. I started out as a Chem E major because, back home, you're either an engineer, a doctor, or a lawyer, or you're nothing else, right?
Same with Nigerian. Same with all of us. We all were told doctor, lawyer, nurse, accountant, all that good stuff. Yeah. Okay.
So I started out in that, and then I ended up taking an abnormal psychology course. Because we need to have these people skills as engineers, right?
Yep.
And I was like, what? Yeah, this is what I need to be doing because all the people in my family has something abnormal going on with them.
You know what? It's funny you say that because so my background, I double majored in psychology and sociology in undergrad. And I remember specifically abnormal psych. I was able to pass that class because on my notebook, under a disorder, I would write a family or friend, like their name. I'm not kidding. And once I was done with that course, I had to throw that notebook away because I was like, if it came home with me
see this
and they saw it, I would be done for. So I can relate to that.
Yes.
On this level. Yeah.
So that's how I ended up changing my major my junior year, like second semester of my junior year.
No.
Yes.
Way.
Yes. Because I was like, well, this is what I should be doing. I know what they say, but this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And then, so I ended up graduating with my bachelor's in psychology in 2012. And then I went on to obtain my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And from there, I earned my PhD in counselor education and supervision. And
which she completed in 3 years.
Yes.
So
I did.
Yes. Talk about on the mat, just coming from our background, right? Psychology, psychotherapy is not necessarily, like even when people deviate, that's not necessarily the norm. What made you say, outside of taking this abnormal course, that I want to pursue this as a full-time career?
Yes. So after taking that course and then really switching my major and having to go through the different psychology courses, I, on that journey, noticed that, okay, I need some type of therapy myself because of like past trauma and different things from, my younger days. And I ended up going to speak to like a counselor and so on. And she was really helpful. Like she was awesome. And I was like, okay, so I wanted to be that for people like me that come from communities like mine, because the stigma when it comes to mental health. Yes. So I had to do a lot of unlearning. And within that process, I understood that if I was going to help people like me do some unlearning, I really had to learn the psychology language, but then hold on to my own language so I can integrate the two and find that middle ground sort of so that I can reach the people, because I can't be going back talking about, oh yeah, you just have depression, you just have anxiety, if they don't know what that is in terms that they understand. Absolutely. So that's what really pushed me to continue in that field.
Amazing. And I love that you didn't lose your sense of home in pursuing this, because a lot of times that's what happens, because, you know, just given the field of psychology, and now it's becoming more diverse and more people are entering that field, but it was initially very white male and then became a more white female dominated field. And even over the course of time, more women started to get into the field and there were less people of color. Even though more people of color started to get into the field and transition into it, it was less Black people.
Yes, and it still is to this day. We're less than 6% across the helping professions. Wow. So, yes.
We need to have you back on just to speak on. So I'm going to expose myself because one of the reasons why I kind of sought you out and stalked you a little bit was because of your story, your area of expertise and your research on imposter syndrome. But hearing this, I really would like to use this opportunity and kind of put you on the spot to ask you to come back to discuss mental health, especially when it comes down to just Black people, because people of color covers a lot. But when it comes to Black people, especially, you know, Afro-Caribbeans, like there's just a lot there and just that stigma associated with it.
Yes.
I am such a huge beneficiary of therapy. I encourage it. I tell everybody to get it. I'm like the biggest advocate for it. But just hearing the conversation, having the conversations I've had and hearing not just the stigma, but just the preconceived notions around therapy, specifically around the, like, in my case, mostly Nigerians. You know, it's hard just because of what we've been told, what we grew up experiencing. It's like whenever you have a situation that was bigger than you, you know, you pray about it. And if you're not praying about it, like you can, if you're going to have a conversation with anybody, it should be a religious leader. So it could be a priest, your pastor, not necessarily therapist. And these are different needs. And like you would still need a therapist, but people are quick to tell you to continue to seek God. Is that something that you've experienced in your profession?
Yes. Okay. Yes. And I was going to say,
in your experience,
I don't think that is isolated to the Nigerian culture, because that's something that I've dealt with in my culture, being from the islands, right?
Yes,
and that's something that I've noticed working as a psychotherapist here in minority serving, or specifically the Black communities as well. So I think that's across the cultures when it comes to, oh, just pray about it.
Yes.
Right. So one of the things that I always find myself saying is, you know, it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist, right?
Yes, like, exactly.
Jesus and your primary care doctor, right?
Yes.
Just like you have Jesus and your specialist doctors.
Yeah.
You can have Jesus and a therapist at the same time, because just like he put those doctors here to help with your healing process when it comes to the physical illnesses that you have, he put therapists and licensed professional here to help you with the healing process when it comes to those mental and emotional things that you're going through.
Preach it. Preach it and preach it and preach it. We need to have a therapy session at some point, either as a group, we can make it a segment, but yes, I feel everybody needs to hear this. Everybody needs to hear this. I think that's an amazing segue to just, again, like, my original intent for this conversation, which is around imposter syndrome. If you could kick us off again as a psychologist, I would like you to operationally define imposter syndrome so that at least we all have a clear definition of what that is. And then we can build off our conversation from there.
Yes, definitely. And I sure do not want to misrepresent. I am a licensed professional counselor, so not a psychologist. So
I'm sorry. No, the psychologist in me. I'm so sorry about that. But I said with my degree, my Bachelor of Science in Psychology. But yeah, sorry about that. But I appreciate you for clarifying.
You are fine. I just like to, put it out there. Well, yes. So when you think about imposter syndrome, the textbook definition is the inability to internalize your success and attributing it to luck, right? Or other external factors. So in layman's term, it comes down to feeling like a fraud, feeling like you do not belong in spaces in which you basically have earned a position, right? But because you constantly feel like you don't belong and you feel like a fraud, every time you accomplish something within that realm, you start attributing it to these external things. That only happened because I over-prepared. That only happened because so-and-so helped me. That only happened because of this. That only happened because of that. Instead of turning it inwards and saying, I did that. Like I did that. It happened because of what I did. So that's really what imposter syndrome is. It's like feeling like a fraud.
Yes. And it shows up differently in all of our lives. And it's a phenomenon that actually it's very different for everyone. It's very unique.
Yeah. So when you think about imposter syndrome, and I love that you said it's a phenomenon, right? Because a lot of times I've heard different discussion where people speak of it as if it's an actual diagnosis, but it's not. It was a phenomenon that was coined by two American psychologists in the 70s. Yes. And they coined this term because they said that it was something that was experienced by high achieving women at that time. Right. So they were working as psychologists in a university counseling center, and they would see the students and they noticed this theme of feeling like a fraud or attributing success to external factors from these students. And once they started having conversation with the other faculty member, they would see the same thing in those faculty members as well.
And these were in their female students and female faculty.
Yes. So back then, they only coined imposter syndrome as something that only females experience. So they were like, only women experience this. Men don't experience imposter syndrome. But as research on imposter syndrome has been done over the years, we're finding out that everyone experiences imposter syndrome. The statistics actually states that 70 to 82% of people will experience imposter syndrome at some point of their lives, right? At some point of their career or some point of something that they are doing. So it shows that it's really that common. And a lot of people experience it and don't even know that that's what they're experiencing because they don't know the name to put with it.
Interesting. I like that you pulled up because I did see that statistic in my preparation for this conversation. I was on the American Psychological Association site, and I was just trying to pull information. And it's so interesting also that you mentioned that when it was coined specifically as a phenomenon that women experience. When I was doing my research, I was trying to see more men because I wanted to see more of how it showed up in men, right? All of the data, everything pointed to women. Even when I searched for celebrities who had experienced it, I saw like Serena Williams and Tina Fey and like the man, like there was a long list. And then down the line, I saw Tom Hanks had actually admitted to experiencing imposter syndrome. It was hard for me to find the intersectionality of imposter syndrome between gender and race, and then to see how it showed up in men. I was just like, it's so amazing that we're having this conversation because these are the questions I have. It will be interesting to hear the types of imposter syndrome in general. And then I'm also curious to know how it shows up in race, and if race and gender, if there's any intersectionality between race and gender.
When you think about the term, we see that over the year, it goes from being genderized. So it's an experience that woman has. And then it was kind of racialized too, because the studies that were done were mostly with white women, white upper middle class women. Right. So when you think about the results and the different types of imposter syndrome, I call it the ways in which imposter syndrome manifests rather than the different types. We really don't know if there are other ways in which it manifests for women of color specifically, or for men of color, because those are the only types, right, that were discussed. And those types are: one, you have the perfectionists. So these are the people that really think there is no middle ground. It's either all or nothing. It's either I'm doing excellent work or my work is trash. I see that finger. Those are the people that pay more attention to the outcome than the process. So they don't think about the effort that they put into what was done, right? They think about what the outcome was. Did I achieve what I set out to achieve? And sometimes these are high, unrealistic expectations that were set, right? And when you miss the mark, you're like, see, trash.
I feel like you're telling me about my life, Dr. Marsha. I feel like I feel exposed. But okay. So we have the perfectionist.
So you have the perfectionist, and then my favorite is the Superman or Superwoman, because I'm gonna go ahead and raise my finger. That's me right there, right? So these are the people who feel like they need to be juggling 10 different tasks at one time, and they need to be great at all these 10 different tasks that they are juggling, right? They don't really stop to smell the roses when it comes to, meeting these different goals that they set for themselves. As soon as they're done accomplishing one thing, it's like, okay, what's next? Right? And the example that I always use for myself is after graduating with my PhD. So like I told you, I spent 3 years, I graduated in 3 years.
Which is a big deal, because PhD span from 5 to 7 years. So that's a big deal.
And see, and at that time, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just like, okay, I'm done. Now that I'm done, I graduated August 3rd, 2019, and August 4th, I'm like, okay, what's next? Right? Where do I go? What do I need to work on? It's kind of this I'll sleep when I'm dead mentality, right? You just have to keep going. So that's the Superman or the Superwoman.
Got it.
I see that face. It's like,
That's what I'm like, okay. So we have the perfectionist and then the Superman, Superwoman. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And then my other favorite is the soloist, because this is another one that I identify with. So it's either the soloist or the individualist. It goes by those two different terms. And these are the people who feel like they need to do everything themselves so that they don't get exposed, right? Because going back to our definition, we say imposter syndrome is feeling like a fraud.
A fraud, yes.
So if I am asking someone else to come in on this group project, if I have to work as a team with these individuals at my job, they're going to notice that I have the least to contribute. They're going to notice that I have the least knowledge on this team. They're going to notice that I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'd rather just work on this myself.
That's amazing. And that's so interesting. Can that show up in a different way? Because I know a few people, and I can be this way in the sense that I'd rather do it on my own because I don't need anyone dragging me. As you're saying that, I'm like trying to think like in terms of a group project or just working in groups or partnerships and stuff like that. If it's a matter of, if that's the perfectionist kicking in.
Yes. Yes. So you have problem delegating, right? So perfectionists have problems delegating. So in turn, they might end up saying, you know what, I'll just do it myself.
Okay. So this perfectionist thing keeps coming up. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So that's the individualist. So that normally showed up for me like in school, where when we get group projects, I'm like, I'll do it. Yes. I'm good. Yes. I'll do it. And then when I do it, even when we hit the mark, I'm still like, whew, I'm glad I did that on my own, but I'm still attributing it to something else. Like, we didn't pass because I did it on my own. That's still something else that made that happen. So you're still not internalizing that success. So a lot of people think that, with imposter syndrome, when you accomplish what you set out to accomplish, that it automatically goes away. It doesn't, because it's a cycle. And we'll talk about the cycle. So that's the three. Okay. Right. I think I covered perfectionist.
So perfectionist, Superman, Superwoman, and then soloist or individualist. I'm taking notes.
Yes. Yes. And then you have the expert. So these are the people who, people come to you, they know that you know your stuff, but you can't really attribute it to your stuff, right? Because you're always seeking out different trainings. So these are the people who are seeking trainings, seeking these different conferences that they need to go to, always seeking different ways to kind of soak up this knowledge, right? They're always looking for different ways to soak up knowledge. And these are also the people who have to meet every single requirement on the job application or the job description to even apply for that job. So if the job qualification says 5 things and you only meet 4, you're like, I'm not going to qualify for this job because I don't know this one thing. I need to be an expert in all these different areas to even apply for this job in the first place. People just disqualify themselves before they even put themselves out there.
Okay, so we have 4. So
yes. Okay. And there's one more. So it's 5 different ways. The last one now is the natural genius. So these are the people who at a young age that you might have heard, you're so smart. You're the smartest one. You're the one that's going to make it. So on and so forth. Things come so easy to you, right? And when you're younger, you might have not ran into different obstacles, but as you grow, you start running into these different obstacles. These are the people who feel like they need to get everything on the first try, right? Because things come easy to them. And if I don't get it on the first try, that means that I am a failure.
I feel like I'm in an abnormal psych class because as I'm like putting myself, I'm also putting people I know in the boxes. Yes. And I'm like, so now after this is out, when I release this, I can just send it to people I know and be like, oh, that's what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with you. I feel it too. So this is interesting. My question after hearing these 5 forms in which it can manifest themselves, like, is it possible for someone to experience, for it to show up in different ways, for people to have more than one?
Oh, yes.
I feel like at different parts of my life or with different things, I am all 5.
Yes, so definitely. So it manifests differently based on what it is that you're facing at that time, right? So I know for me, when I was dealing with that showed up more during my master's program, right? So by the time I got to my PhD program, I felt a little more competent, right? When it came to working in groups with individuals.
Yes.
And sometimes it would depending on what topic it was, right? So if it was a topic that I know I was knowledgeable about, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Let's work together because I know what I'm talking about. But if it's something new, and that's when imposter syndrome shows up a lot of times, when we are about to level up, when we are being pushed a little bit out of our comfort zone, depending on what area in our lives we're being pushed out of our comfort zone, that's when it rears its head, right? Because if I feel competent...
Can you say that again, that it shows up
when you're about to level up? Yeah. And that's how I help people change their perspective of it. I'm like, if you're experiencing this, something big is about to happen. That means you're going beyond your limit. You're being pushed out of your comfort zone. So of course these thoughts are going to come in your head because this is new.
Yes. Is it also possible for it to be triggered through comparison? Because that's something else I saw. It was just like as a runoff example that, it can also show up when it's time. Imposter syndrome was one of the causes was comparison. And it was just a runoff. Okay.
Yeah, because when you think about feeling like a fraud, for you to feel like you are a fraud, the second part of that is you feeling like everyone else around you is more competent, is more knowledgeable. So you are comparing yourself with these individuals that are taking up the same space as you. Yes. And you're comparing them from a scarcity, I can never say that word, or a deficient mindset, right? Yes. It's like, I'm the oddball in this situation, even though you and that person that you're comparing yourself with probably have the same position. And if you both have the same position, you both needed to have the same type of experience, the same type of qualifications. But here you are dismissing your qualification and putting that person's same qualification that you have to the forefront to say they're more competent than you are.
Wow, that is amazing. That's profound. And to bring this conversation back to On the Matter. So when I started this platform, I've been blessed to have a variety of people who have really decided to take on whatever it is they've decided to take on, and they're doing it. And the back end conversations, it's ignited a fire in a lot of people to, pick up their own matter and like pursue that. But at the same time, a lot of people felt that like they've been put under a microscope in the sense that they feel more exposed. Like, I watched this episode, I see this person doing this, I want to do that. I see this, I see that. But then immediately there's all of the reasons why they can't. Okay. Right?
Yes.
Even example, without even putting a guest on the spot, myself. So I kicked off this podcast because I wanted to feature honest and authentic stories. I decided to put my honest and authentic story, which was paying off my credit card debt. And I literally walked people through the journey week by week. This is what was happening. And right off the bat, LaToya, who actually connected us, she had successfully paid off her entire debt. One of the ways she did it was by going on a $50 a week budget. Right. So when she told me about that, I was like, I'm going to try a $50 budget. And I literally document my experience with that. But there were some people who, as soon as they heard that, they were like, $50, I'm a parent, I do this, that's impossible. $50 in New York, that's impossible. They wrote it off immediately. And it's the same thing in the sense that a lot of times when we want to, as you put it, level up, right? And we see someone doing something and we see that it's attainable and we see that we want to do that, that's something we want to do. It's almost as if imposter syndrome, our brains function as a defense mechanism in order to defend us and to protect us. But the way imposter syndrome has been showing up for the people I know, it's almost as if they're dismissing the idea before they even give it a try.
Yes.
How in the world are you supposed to encourage someone to pick up a matter and even try it out if all they hear right off the bat is like they see something happening, but as opposed to internalizing that for it to show that they're capable and it's possible, they start to write off all of the reasons why it won't work for them? How can we actually encourage people to just do it and try and figure it out?
Yeah.
And again,
I am because when you think about it, we don't want to fail. Yes. Right?
Yes.
And even if we see someone else obtaining something that's similar to a goal that we have for ourselves, like you said, we have all these different reasons why we can't obtain it. And that is because that's how we've trained ourselves to think.
Jesus.
Right? So a big part of it is breaking that negative thinking cycle. Okay. So when it comes to thoughts with imposter syndrome, one of the first thing that always pops in our head, as soon as we get a thought about something, right? Even before you start to put it in motion, is an automatic negative thought, right? And what an automatic negative thought is, it can be a dismissing thought. It can be a mind reading thought. It can be a catastrophizing thought, meaning, you either dismiss that you can even accomplish this thing. You start mind reading like, oh, if it's a product, people are never going to like this product. These people don't even like me. You think you can fortune tell and mind read about how people feel about you and the product that you you're wanting to put out, or you catastrophize, right? You think of the worst case scenario. And these are different thoughts. These are just some of the negative thinking,
yes.
or stinking thinking,
Yes.
like we call them. There's so many other ones, right? And the biggest part of it, the first part of it, is really acknowledging that you're doing this, right? You have to come to the awareness that, okay, I am dismissing, this is imposter syndrome. You know, I felt this is the automatic negative thought that I have. And one thing that I have people do is literally write down the automatic negative thought.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Write down the worst case scenario. So sometimes the automatic negative thought is the worst case scenario. So you write that down, and then you write down the best case scenario. So now we're going from one extreme to the next, right? So, and then I take it a step further and I say, I need you to write down the most realistic thing that could happen in this situation, right? So when you take it back to On the Matterr and you wanting to launch the podcast, if that's a thought that you have that, oh, no one is going to listen to this, right?
How did you know? That's exactly what I said. That's exactly, did I say that already? That's exactly what I said. I'm like,
yes,
and
exactly.
I still feel imposter syndrome till this day. Like every time I hit at the end of the year, perfect example, at the end of the year, I hit 2,000 followers. I had a goal to hit 2,000 followers, right?
Look at that.
I finally hit 2,000 followers on my Instagram, right?
Yes.
And you know what my mind went to immediately, and this is full disclaimer, and I'm going to put myself out there because that's exactly what this space is, right? When I had started this page, I found someone on Fiverr whose job is to grow your page. That means like they would follow and unfollow people. I did it the first time, I gained a number of followers. I did it the second time, and Instagram blocked my account. So I was like,
yeah,
we can't do this again, right? So even though it was a significant, like I had to do the work, I was very consistent. I try to post every day, right? And like trying to find, like, you know, there was a lot of work that went into it. When I hit the 2,000 followers, you know, the first thing my mind went to was, Obi, that wasn't you. That was the person on Fiverr. And it took one of my friends, like one of my best friends, to tell me, you can get people to follow you, but people unfollow people all the time. You kept them there. And then it's like, okay, what about your download? Like the number of your downloads? You have over 20. At the time, I had 21,000 downloads, right? Across the 30 episodes. And she was like, what about your downloads? What you got to say about your downloads? And I was like,
exactly. I love it. I love it. And she is your imposter checker. And we all need one of those on our team. Yes.
See, I'm taking imposter checker. Can you define an imposter checker?
Yes. So one of the Black woman psychologists who I love and adore that researches and write books about imposter syndrome is Dr. Orbe Austin. Her and her husband, or a husband and wife team, they are two of the only Black people that even research this topic. One way to overcome imposter syndrome is, of course, building your support system. But she takes it as to a further step of saying, okay, while you're building your support system, these are the people that you need on your imposter syndrome team, right? And you need your imposter checker. So again, that's like your friend. These are the people who know the things that you've accomplished. And when you get to that point where you start questioning your ability, where you start dismissing all the things that you have done, they can remind you of them, right? You need a mentor.
Yes.
Someone who is somewhere where you see yourself in the next couple of years, you're learning from them.
Yes.
You are, getting as much as you can from that individual, right? So you have your imposter checker, you have your mentor, you have your safe person. So this is the person who you can go to and spill your guts about the fact that you are experiencing imposter syndrome. This is how you're feeling. Somebody that you can just talk to and they will listen and support you in a way that you need support in that time, right?
Yeah.
And I like even taking a step further and saying you become a mentor. Because what becoming a mentor does for us is it holds us accountable. Because now we have someone else who sees us as goals, as we call it, right? Because it's easy for us to see other people as goals, but imposter syndrome sometimes hindering us hinders us from seeing that we are goals too for someone else, right? So becoming a mentor, because that holds you accountable. And now, someone trusts you with their development, whether it's personally or professionally. And sometimes it really just comes down to the point that we don't want to disappoint them. So because we don't want to disappoint them, it in turns push us to reach our full potential and to reflect on our qualifications and what we can do and really see that we're competent. Right? So definitely those are the different things or the different people that I say that we need to surround ourselves with to help us overcome imposter syndrome. Of course, in addition to doing our own work. Absolutely. So when I say our own work, kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, when we start identifying these automatic negative thoughts, really challenging them. And like I said, writing it down. And then you even checking yourself, right? Being one of your own imposter checker or accountability partner by keeping track of the different things that you do. So you could go back and look at your resume. You can start writing down small goals that you've accomplished so that when this new thing is coming and you're about to level up and these thoughts start coming that you can't do it, you can go back and say, yeah, I could do it because I did this that one time. Or on January 25th, 2018, I did this, right? Or like you said, in July of 2020, I launched my podcast. And by January of 2021, this is how many followers I have. So December, when you're ready to drop that new season and those thoughts start coming up again, you're like, no, because I remember last December, this is how many followers I have and not, right? So really focusing on small things that we have accomplished and taking note of them. So I always tell people journal. Journal. Write it down. So that you can go back and look at it, because a lot of times, like myself, we can go on and accomplish so much that we forgot. That we forget what's going on. Right?
Exactly.
So I don't even think I can think about what I've accomplished last year because I didn't write it down. So sometimes we need to have tangible evidence.
Absolutely.
Tangible things that we can go back and look at, things that we can go back and touch. To remind us that I'm bomb. I am the boss. I am competent, right? I deserve to be in this space. However, comma, it's easier said than done, especially for Black people. Right?
And thank you for saying that, because that pulls me back to my original questions around intersectionality between imposter syndrome in race and gender, specifically for Black people, Black men. Because as you were saying this, like between me and my girls, like I mean my sisters, my cousins, my people, we talk, right? So it's easy for me to recognize whatever it is, or for someone to recognize imposter syndrome in me. However, a lot of times for the men in our lives, or for just men in general, it's harder to even understand what they're going, first of all, to even know what they're going through, or even harder to understand what they're going through in order to even access it as imposter syndrome, and then understand how to be their imposter checker or their champion, or to motivate them and encourage them. So are there ways for us to even see how this shows up for men? I don't want to say specifically Black men, because this is bigger than any one particular race, but just men in general. If there's a way to just understand better.
So the research on that has like conflicting or different results. So there's some research that says, it shows up in the same way. So when we talk about the 5 different ways in which it has manifest, and I've had some of my male colleagues share that with me, that, they feel like the Superman, or they feel like the expert, and so on and so forth. So a lot of men identify with the different ways in which it manifests. And then other research says that, it shows up the same way, it manifests the same way. However, it's more intensified for men because of the societal pressure for a man to be the provider and for a man to be competent, which when you take it back to the original research, that's why they
focused on women, because at the time women are the less, were considered as the lesser.
Exactly. So men were deemed competent, right? There wasn't a question about whether or not men belong in those positions, whether or not men belong in those spaces. And then even take it a little further, white men, right? Because they, and I will say this all the time, you will have a mediocre white man that meets none of the qualification for a job, but you can bet he's going to apply because he knows that he belongs there. He already told himself.
Case in point, the outgoing commander-in-chief of, whatever country it is we reside in, just so that no one comes for me. But oh my God, what?
Yes. So when you think about the 70s and, men are supposed to be where they are. So I don't even think this is something that impacts them. But when you think about, take it a little further, I'm going to push the envelope a little bit. When you think about Black men and Black women and imposter syndrome, now when you think about the original definition, it's the inability to internalize your success. Right? Mm-hmm. So now you take it to today's society, where I'm not even going to keep it back then. Let's even talk about today, where Black women and Black men are constantly getting these messages that they don't belong. So now you have this internal thing of, I don't belong here, I'm not competent, I'm just a fraud. And then you have these external things. So going back to even my own journey, not being afforded the same resources as your counterparts in your programs, being deemed the angry Black woman or being deemed the token Black person in your job or in your school, right? So when you're deemed the token, you know what that means? You're only here because of your race or ethnicity. You're not here because of your competent level. So if the externals are telling me that I'm here only because of diversity, my race and not because I'm competent, and then I feel that way on the inside, now these external feelings are perpetuating these or validating, let's say, these internal feelings, and that just perpetuates the cycle on and on. On. So that's why I always say imposter syndrome hits different when you're Black, because it does. Because we're not only fighting with these internal things, we're fighting with external factors that are validating, and I'm using my air quotes, validating the things that we're already feeling internally.
This just took me out. I'm weak. I'm weak. I'm weak because what you're saying, to your point, it validates everything. Like this substantiates everything that everyone claims is just people being in their feelings. Like you're just in your feelings. Deal with it. Figure it out. Yeah. Dr. Marshall, I can't thank you enough for your time. I can't thank you enough for just your wisdom, for this opportunity. I do have one question that I ask, one request that I ask of everyone who comes on, and that's, I'm a quote collector. I like quotes. It's all over my Instagram page. It's all over my wall. One day I'm going to take a picture of like my wall so that people can see like the posted notes. But I wanted to know if there's any, actually, I want two things, right? First, I do want to ask if there's a quote that keeps you motivated. It could be a song lyric, a Bible verse, or just any quote that keeps you motivated and inspired to just stay on your matter. And then I also wanted to know if you could just end on just a positive or an encouraging note for all of us who are going through it.
So the quote that keeps, or the Bible verse that keeps me going is, I can do all things.
Amen.
Through Christ.
Through Christ. Thank you. Thank you.
Right? Because imposter syndrome still hits me sometimes. So I need to be reminded that I can do all things through Christ.
Absolutely.
And what I will say to everyone is that you can do all things as well. Right? And I think it's so important for us to give ourselves compassion. A lot of times it's so easy for us to show compassion to those around us, but we don't give it to ourselves. So if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, if you are experiencing depression, anxiety, if you are just tired and burnt out with everything that has been going on from 2020 all into 2022.0, 2021, right? I just want you to give yourself some self-compassion and remember that you can do all things, right? I know we all love our affirmations, but I want us to take it a step further. And after you say, write, recite, whatever your affirmation, I want you to go out there and honor it. I mean, faith without works is dead, no matter what you believe in. So affirmations are only words until you put them in action. Right? Absolutely. So if you believe that you can do all things, but your imposter syndrome manifests as an expert, if there's one thing on that list that you don't check when it comes to qualification, do it anyway. Do it fearfully, do it scared, do it anyway, right? Go out there and honor your affirmations. If you are telling yourself that you can do hard things when it comes to your affirmation, do something hard that day to show yourself, because this is a part of collecting evidence so that when we are faced with imposter syndrome, we can challenge it with this evidence, this tangible evidence. Oh no, I said that I can do hard things, and waking up, and I'm talking to myself right now, right? Waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning is a hard thing for me. So if I get up at 6 a.m. in the morning, that's me honoring my affirmation. Absolutely. And I am going to celebrate it. So that's the last thing that I want to say. Celebrate every win, learn from every lesson. We're not owning any loss in 2021. It's a lesson, right? Amen. I don't care if it's just getting up at 6 a.m. one morning. Celebrate it. I don't care if it's just applying for the job. Celebrate it. I don't care if it's just going in for the interview. Celebrate it. Whatever hard thing you face throughout your day, no matter how small it is, once you've accomplished that, celebrate it, right? So give yourself some compassion, honor your affirmations, and celebrate your wins.
Amen to that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Marsh. I do have one last question before I ask you to sign us out. Are you taking on any new patients, clients?
I'm taking coaching clients. So I do life coaching and therapy, and they are different, and there'll probably be another conversation to go into both. But in my coaching business, I do help individuals maximize their potential by overcoming imposter syndrome. So I am definitely taking coaching clients. The thing with coaching is that it does not accept insurance. But if you're interested in any of my service or projects, you can go to Marshall Coaching and Mentoring.com. And speaking of products, I do have an imposter syndrome journal. So what it does is it helps you challenge imposter syndrome real time. It's a guided journal with positive affirmations. Throughout the journal, it gives you prompts, asks you questions to kind of help you walk through your imposter syndrome. And then it also gives you space to collect evidence as you go on.
My people, don't worry, I got you. I'm going to link all of this in the description. I got you guys. Thank you so much, Dr. Marshall. This has been a blessing. I hope you had a good time. I know I did.
And I love your energy.
Thank you. I try. I work out. I'm kidding. I do work out, but that's not it. Thank you. So now that said, I'm going to ask you to please sign us out. And that's by saying my name is, and I am on the matter.
My name is Dr. Claudia C. Marshall, and I am on the matter.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you had an amazing time. I know I did. And until next time, stay on the matter. Bye, everyone.
My name is Tiffany Ann Taylor.
My name is Ibanoa Spiff.
Abimbola Akintolayo.
My name is Wura Manola.
My name is Kabina.
My name is Jeremy Wilson.
Christine Irvinlin.
I am Gustavo Lupono.
My name is Chinayela Mudoye, and I am on the matter.
And I am on the matter.
And I'm on the matter.
On the matter.
And I'm on the matter.
I'm on the matter.
I'm on the matter.
On the matter.
And I am on the matter.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Until next time, stay on the matter. Bye.